Hello, good morning. My name is Davion Fleming. I'm the Director of Admissions at Lick-Wilmerding High School. Welcome to our first virtual open house this year. We're so excited to have you here with us this morning. But before we get started, there are a couple of our admissions team members who would like to say hello really quick.
Hi, and good morning. My name is Elizabeth Tackett. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions for Operations and Flexible Tuition. It's so lovely to have all of you here today. I hope that you enjoy the presentation and that it is helpful as you're on your journey towards high school admissions. So thanks for being here today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabby. I am an admissions associate here at Lick-Wilmerding, and I'm really excited to be in this space with you all and have you all learn a little bit more about our school.
Awesome. Thanks to you both. Really appreciate it. So today we'll dive into aspects of our community that make Lick, our mission, and we'll talk a little bit about our Center for Civic Engagement that really drives our public purpose work. And then finally, we'll have a panel of students come on. I'll also speak briefly about the admissions process. And after each speaker, you'll have the chance to ask a question or two in the chat. And so we'll open that when the time has come. In our other open house events, you'll hear more about some of the defining aspects of our academic curriculum. So if you would like to learn more about those things, please come to some of our future events. But before we get started, it was important for me to acknowledge the present day that we live in. This morning, I woke up and I scrolled through the news and found that in 2021, in parts of this country and the world, some people still cannot be accepted for loving who their heart says they can to love. In 2021, families flee their homes in the hopes of a better future, but still find resistance. In 2021, to some, Black lives still do not matter. Asian hate is rampant and Islamophobia continues to haunt this country. In 2021, we have faced some of the most deadly natural disasters on record. And there are those who continue to deny that climate change is real, let alone that we are responsible for it. In 2021, we continue to face a global pandemic and continue to lose those who are most precious and dear to us. Yet, life continues to move forward. And we continue to strive for a better tomorrow. We continue to welcome new life, celebrate birthdays and graduations and milestones and accomplishments. We cheer for our favorite football team or tennis players. And most importantly, we continue to dream and to imagine. In 2021, the community you're a part of has arguably never been more important. Your community's values, its drive, its purpose, how your community loves and cares for one another, how your community celebrates you, lifts you up, and challenges you to the best version of you. Today, you'll learn about our community. I hope that you get a sneak peek into the things that Lick holds dear and what we value as a school and community. I hope that today, listening to some of our speakers and students, you'll see why, in spite of our present day, I find hope and solace in the community we are weaving together here at Lick-Wilmerding High School. The fabric of our community is a mosaic of students, families, faculty, and staff members from all walks of life, who all add their unique thread to our fantastic tapestry. And like a tapestry, community building takes work. It takes a team of weavers committed to bringing the pieces together and building something beautiful. One such weaver is Eric Temple, who I get to introduce this morning. Our head of school, Eric Temple, is Lick's 12th head of school, and it's 125 plus year history. Earlier this week, Mr. Temple told me explicitly not to shower him with praise, but I couldn't really help it. So last week, I asked some of our students and faculty how they would describe him. Some of the words they shared with me were caring, effervescent, kind, thoughtful, inspirational, a mentor, a friend. And one faculty member said, Eric just loves to love. And another said he embodies the mission of the school through and through. While Mr. Temple will be completing his final year at Lick this year, he will work with the next head of school closely to ensure a smooth transition and that they too will carry the same love, care, and commitment to weaving the great tapestry that is Lick-Wilmerding High School, as he's done for the past decade or so. Mr. Temple, good morning.
Good morning, Davion. That was so kind. Thank you so much. Effervescent. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual open house of the 2021 season. And we're so excited that you're here. I'm going to share my screen with you and take you through a little journey of our mission. And it's just an absolutely amazing mission. Believe very strongly in it. And we're a very mission-driven school. And so let me just get into our little presenter mode. Awesome. So I'm going to read the mission to you and just sit with it, maybe close your eyes and listen to it. A private school with public purpose, Lick-Wilmerding High School develops the head, heart, and hands of highly motivated students from all walks of life, inspiring them to become lifelong learners who contribute to the world with confidence and compassion. So we're going to tease this mission apart a little bit and just talk a little bit about how Lick-Wilmerding does its very best to deliver on this very inspirational mission. So first, what is a private school with public purpose? You're going to hear a lot about this from our amazing director of the Center for Civic Engagement, Christy Godinez. But just quickly, what Lick really tries to do is to educate for impact. As Davion started this morning with naming some of the huge challenges that we face as a nation and as a planet, educating for impact has never been more important. What you will learn at Lick-Wilmerding High School will influence the way you live your life. And the hope is that you will work hard to heal a planet in desperate need of healing. You'll develop skills that will just have a positive impact. You'll learn, and I'm not going to go into the four-year public purpose program or the center work because I know Christy's going to do a lot of that. But that really is what a private school with public purpose is all about. The head, heart, and hands. I love this, that catchphrase. Really what we're talking about is educating the whole student, every part of their being. We have rigorous academics at Lick-Wilmerding, so many classes, and I urge you to go onto our website and look at the academic guidebook to see all the different classes that are offered. But importantly, our classes are asking students to really try to solve real world problems. And that can be from designing new fishing nets to help heal the ocean, to creating some amazing wearable fabrics. It's just incredible what our students are doing here to engage with real world problems. And we don't have AP classes at our school. We do have honors classes. We believe that it was really imperative that our students go deeply into problem solving and into the curriculum. AP classes tend to be a little bit of a survey approach to learning. That's not the type of learning and teaching we do. And actually, it's not what students really enjoy doing. They like following their passions and going deeply into topics. The heart is so important to who we are as people. As I mentioned, it's public purpose, but importantly, as Davion mentioned, it is about our community. It is about how we treat each other and how we lift each other up. Everybody needs a helping hand every now and then. And if we can be that person to each other, then we are creating a better world. We want our students to be practitioners in our continual quest to create a more equitable and compassionate society. And you'll see here some pictures of our athletics program. Often this happens on the athletic field or in the gym, but it happens everywhere in the school. It happens during lunch or during a shop class or during an English class. How do we help each other and not create a competitive environment, but one where we're learning together? The hands is one of my favorite parts of Lick-Wilmerding, in that the shop classes is integral to who we are. We started as a technical arts school in 1895. Lick graduates helped build the city of San Francisco, and we continue to educate our students in how the world really works. And importantly, I love this story. Every student who graduates from Lick gets a toolbox, and there's a symbolic quality to that, in that we are hoping that our students are leaving with the tools they need. But also there's a very practical piece of this, and that is they become very popular on their college dorm floors, because they're the ones everybody goes to, because they know they have the tools to hang things in their dorm rooms. I also remember a great story from a 50th reunion class from some, and one gentleman said to me, you know, we all met our significant others and spouses because we knew how to fix things. So not only will Lick-Wilmerding give you a great education, but will also help you find your life partner. So there you have it. But more seriously, we really do want our students to learn to fix what is broken, both figuratively and literally, and just to really learn skills that will serve them in good stead for the rest of their lives. As we have a very, very diverse school, and we are incredibly proud of it. And we believe that different perspectives and different points of view create the most powerful learning environment. Imagine sitting across a desk from someone who really grew up very differently from you, and what you can learn from that person. It's breathtaking and it's so exciting. And so we purposely bring together students from all over the Bay Area, from different racial and ethnic and religious and gender identity and sexual orientations and economic and cognitively different. And we just get to watch people learn from folks that they may have not, connected with. Lick-Wilmerding is really looking for students who are ready to step out a little bit of their comfort zone and to really decide, hey, I want to learn from people who aren't just like me. And it's what makes the magic of the school. You can see some of the statistics here of how diverse the school really is as far as representation from different middle schools. We have 5 habits of mind at Lick-Wilmerding High School. They are imagine, inquire, collaborate, persist, and reflect. And I love these 5 habits. Habits of mind are meta skills. They are skills that we believe if you can master, you can actually solve almost any problem that comes your way. And it's an interesting sort of cyclical problem-solving protocol. So if you're faced with a very difficult issue, let's say climate change, look, the first thing is imagine the possibilities. What can we do? Then start asking lots of questions. And that is not so easy, asking the right questions. Then you need to collaborate. You have to pull a team together or join a team that's already there. We know that very difficult issues and problems cannot be solved by individuals. They take persistence. You have to stay at it, maybe years and years and years of work. And then you have to reflect, what did we do well? What could we have done better? And that gets you right back to imagine. So it's a wonderful problem-solving protocol. And it's just a great way to think about, this is what we need to educate our students to be able to do, both at Lick and then once they leave for life. A Lick graduate is super confident and compassionate and curious. They embody our habits of mind. And what I love about our graduates is they are doing such great work in the world. From taking used cell phones and triangulating them and hanging them in trees in the rainforests of Brazil so that they can hear when there's illegal logging going on, to a graduate who is just recognized with a national award for creating an app to help women in college report sexual assaults. to whatever they put their mind to. They are just doing incredible, incredible work that's creative and dedicated to creating a better world for everybody. So that's our mission. And I look forward to being able to chat with you at any time. We're a transparent school. Any question that you have about the school, we're happy to answer. And thank you once again for coming and joining us today online. And I believe I'm turning it back over to Mr. Fleming.
Thanks, Mr. Temple. Would you be open to answering maybe one or two questions from the audience?
Of course.
Awesome. So for folks that are in attendance, I just turned on the chat. So if you have a question for Mr. Temple, a burning question, please put it in the chat and I'll choose one or two to ask him while he's still with us this morning. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So there is a question from the Sharma family that's asking, in what ways has the school kind of responded to the pandemic? How have we been working to keep our families and our faculty and staff safe, especially this school year?
Yeah, so I'm super proud of the efforts of everybody in our community in our response to the pandemic. Last year, we were one of the few independent high schools in San Francisco to open our doors. And then this year, we are 100% on campus, all of our students. We and all of our faculty and staff. We did create smaller class sizes, even though we don't have to socially distance. We wanted to just create just a psychological comfort of not having lots of students in one place. We also do antigen testing twice a week. It's an at-home test. We're part of a state-run program, and that's been awesome. That's just creates just a level of comfort knowing that there's nobody that's tested positive that comes to school, and that's been great. All of our employees are vaccinated, and we have a 98.6% student vaccination rate. So almost all of our students, and we have a few medical exemptions. And I could go on, but we've created a really wonderfully safe environment. We're masking indoors and outside, except when eating. We have 2 lunch periods, so we are dispersing kids a little bit more. But it's been successful. Yeah.
So, and then one question, another question I think is really great. If you could describe Lick in one word, what word would you use? You can use a hyphenated word. I'm going to let you kind of cheat a little bit. You can use you can use a hyphenated word with one word on either side of the hyphen.
Okay, holistically ambitious.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. Temple. I appreciate your time. I know everyone loved your words and your perspective on what makes Lick-Wilmerding Lick-Wilmerding.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to engaging with everyone further. And thank you very much, everybody, for being here, and Davion for organizing this today. Thanks so much.
Of course. So next we'll talk about the Center for Civic Engagement, or more commonly referred to as the Center, or sometimes even the Center of the Universe. When I think about the heart and soul of our school, I think about all the amazing work that happens within the center, and that everything that happens that's amazing has its roots in the center. So yesterday, the center hosted our clubs fair, and the energy around campus was just electric. The kids were running around, they were signing up for clubs, their music was bumping. It was really amazing. I also don't think that there is another space in place on campus that supports and advocates more for student voice than the center. And so I'm super excited for you all to learn more about the Center of the Universe at Lick, and have Ms. Christy Godinez-Jackson talk to you a little bit more about that.
Nice. Thank you so much, Davion, for having me. Welcome, everyone. My name is Christine Godinez-Jackson, and I oversee the Center for Civic Engagement. I'm so excited to be here today to share with you what we do in the center. So I'll start with saying that LWHS is a private school with a public purpose. The Center for Civic Engagement hopes to serve that mission by providing leadership opportunities for students, fostering an inclusive community, and helping our students understand their role in making this world a better place through our public purpose program. So let's get started. The first program that I'll share is PPP, Public Purpose Program, which is a graduation requirement here at Lick-Wilmerding. There are different tracks. So as ninth graders, students have the opportunity to attend a workshop series where they start to explore what privilege means, the roots of inequality, and really preparing themselves to get out into the community and volunteer. In their 10th grade year, students are required to complete 40 hours of service. 10 of those hours can be done in service to the school, so volunteering at an open house, service project, or the other 30 need to be completed in a community project or whatnot. And then 11th and 12th graders have a variety of options. They can enroll in an academic PPP class that has a service learning component. They can design their own independent study, work as an intern for a nonprofit, and one of my favorites is help design and facilitate the 9th grade PPP curriculum. Some examples of our public purpose classes are our philanthropy initiative, which I co-teach. This is a class that teaches students the history of philanthropy. They learn how to write a request for proposal. They choose an issue that's important to them. And they ultimately invite over 100 organizations to apply for their grant. And then they choose one at the end of the semester. And you can see on my right, the list of grantees over the past 5 years. Another PPP class happens through our Chinese 4. And one of their most recent projects is partnering with the Climate Psychiatry Alliance, which is a national organization that addresses mental health issues associated with climate change. And what this class did is they worked closely with the organization to help translate a number of flyers for the community. And this flyer that you see here was on how to survive the heat wave, which is super important. As we know, many of our elderly often fall victim to heat stroke. And so this was making the flyer accessible in Mandarin to those members in our community. And then where it all started, our private skills for a public purpose course. This class actually existed before PPP became a graduation requirement. But this is where one of our tech arts classes, they build furniture for different nonprofits and schools in the area. And so this group of students devoted their semester to building benches for Excelsior Works, which is a local nonprofit in our neighborhood. And one of the most exciting things to see is when students start to take the service projects that they worked on during their 10th grade year, and they turn them into much larger projects. And so one of those is the Bay Area Youth Climate Summit, which was started by Lick-Wilmerding students. They will be organizing a national conference in the next few weeks. And I welcome you to check out their website. It is so inspiring to see our students working towards addressing climate change. And then a second story I'll share is a group of 3 students that started a group called Fresh Air Now. And these students are working to address the health effects of air pollution. They are single-handedly working together to build air filters for schools that might not have access to them. And they are doing so with a fund that they were granted by the Bling organization and also through the support of the Center for Civic Engagement. Now, Eric mentioned that Lick-Wilmerding's commitment to being a private school with a public purpose is a huge part of who we are. And I wanted to share with you a number of our partners that we work with throughout the year. This is a short list, but these are groups that I feel really passionate about because we do more than just share space. We put programs together, we plan, we brainstorm for how to make this world a better place. And some of those are AIM High, the Bay Area Teaching and Training Institute. I serve on the Balboa Reservoir CAC and also on the Ocean Avenue Association board. And then you can see the few other organizations listed below. And I mentioned that the partnerships go beyond just sharing space. And we also host several community events. The last, actually pre-pandemic, we hosted the first ever SF Youth Comic-Con in partnership with the San Francisco Unified School District. We also put on annual Ocean Avenue block parties with the Ocean Avenue organization. And then Youth Art Exchange, which is a local nonprofit that used to be based on campus, but have now branched to their own site. But we help support their Youth Art Summit that takes place every year, which is a celebration of the arts to get our young people involved in that work as well. The PAC Mentor Program is a wonderful opportunity for our young students of color to mentor even younger students of color in local independent middle schools. It started between Lick-Wilmerding High School and San Francisco Day, and the program has now grown to serve over 6 schools. So we have monthly events, and it really is about building community and helping students see themselves in one another. And then one of my favorite programs that I started is Excelsior Art in Action. I grew up in the Excelsior district, so this is near and dear to my heart. And for years, I've been thinking about how can we offer summer programming to serve underserved youth in the neighborhood. And so we decided to launch a free program that would offer art classes, but also help prepare our young alumni for careers in the arts. And so pre-pandemic, we were able to serve close to 50 students and invite them to take 4 classes here on campus. They took woodworking, photography, printmaking, and dance. And so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this coming summer, we're able to relaunch the program and welcome our Excelsior neighbors back to our campus. And then there's our LWHS Community Tutoring Program. This program has been in existence for over 10 years. It's another free program that serves 5th through 8th grade middle school students from public or parochial schools, and it offers tutoring. Our tutors are our Lick-Wilmerding students. Many of those are sophomores helping to earn their public purpose hours. But the other half of our tutors are returning juniors and seniors who just had a wonderful experience working with middle school students. And so we'll continue that program virtually this fall, and also our enrichment classes. You'll see here a photo of a student making a Halloween gingerbread home. And so every week we mail out kits to students or drop them off if they're close by, so that not only do students have the opportunity to do academic tutoring, but they also could do some fun stuff like learn how to bake, learn how to do yoga. And so this has been a really wonderful addition to our community. Now, the second piece of the center that Davion mentioned was leadership opportunities. We did have our club fair yesterday with over 80 clubs represented. And the center oversees student council and all of our clubs. We have both AM and PM clubs. AM stands for active membership and PM is for passive. The main difference is that active membership clubs are required to do events in the community, and they're also required to do a service project. Along with student council, all of our groups are really encouraged to go out in the community. This is not about just serving the students among you. It's about thinking about how you can make this world a better place. And so you can see some of the images for some of the clubs that were represented yesterday. And then there's our student leadership training. It's super important that with any leadership opportunity, we're preparing our students to continue to grow in those fields and learn new skills. So just this fall, we hosted a training for our affinity club leaders, our Student Council Executive Board, and our Peer Connect mentors, which I'll share a little bit about next. And then in the spring, we do a Skillify leadership training where we partner with Skillify to offer students skills on how to write resumes, interview, use LinkedIn, and network. And my dream, something that I'm hoping to launch this spring as well, is to offer a third training for real life skills. Students are always talking about how they want to learn how to balance a checkbook, how to do their taxes, how to change a tire. So hopefully we'll be able to do something like that towards the end of the school year. Here's a slide on our Peer Connect Mentor program, which is optional for all ninth graders, but I'm happy to say that close to 100% of our ninth graders enroll in the program, and they are matched with a 10th through 12th grade mentor who is just a friend for them. We have programs once a month where we just want students to come together to connect, have fun, and do activities together. We just had our welcome event where they had hula hoop competitions, they enjoyed cotton candy, and most importantly, just time to connect and get to know one another. And then leadership conferences, which are a big part of leadership. Lick-Wilmerding is proud to support these 3 national conferences, the Student Diversity Leadership Conference, the White Privilege Conference, and Creating Change. And we send students each year to attend these, in addition to a number of local conferences that take place. And then finally, our Samahara Days of Justice. This is a highlight every year for students where we plan our own in-house conference. The planning of the conference is by students who attended the Student Diversity Leadership, White Privilege, and Creating Change. And it is a series of affinity groups, workshops, keynote speakers, and more. And every year we choose a different theme to focus on. Last year, our focus was on restorative justice, and students were able to attend a number of workshops on what restorative justice is, how do you practice, what does it mean to give affective statements, and so on. So this is a culminating part of the experience at the end of the school year. And then I just wanted to share a couple of initiatives that are in the works. Here at Lick, we feel like it's important to do research and plan and be thoughtful about any new programs or policies that we want to launch in the school. And so we currently have 2 different student groups that are working closely with our Director of Student Inclusion to think about what would it look like to launch an ethnic studies program at our school, and also to start practicing and implementing restorative practices. Restorative practices are about holding groups and individuals accountable, and most importantly, restoring trust and connection. So that is a little bit about the Center for Civic Engagement. I know that it can be overwhelming, but there's so much great stuff that we're doing and always looking to add more to our programs. My last slide is to share with you my team, my dream team. I have Alan Wesson Suarez, who is our Public Purpose Program Director, Naomi Fierro Peña as our Director of Student Inclusion, and Yanni Velasquez, who serves as our Senior Associate and is also an intern, actually an alum of the school. So thank you all so much.
Great, thanks, Christy. Are you able to take a couple of questions if folks have them?
Definitely.
All right. So again, if you have questions for Christy, go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll do my best to get to a couple of them. That was great. Learn something new every time I talk to Christy. Yeah, so there's a really great question from, looks like Vincent Stephanie. So how many total hours do students need to complete before they graduate?
Yeah, see, the only time that we have students track their hours is as sophomores. So the 40 hours of service, or if they are choosing one of the tracks as a junior or senior, where they are volunteering directly with an internship or a nonprofit. But it really is just during that 10th grade year that we track the 40 hours, which many students go over. And that's one of the beautiful pieces is when a student finds a nonprofit that they really care about and decide, you know what, I'm going to volunteer all year and I'm going to do it junior year too.
Mhm. Awesome. I think one of the things that I found really amazing about Lick is the amount of mentorship that happens at the school, that so many of our upperclassmen are willing to mentor our 9th grade students. And it's just this really beautiful culture of reciprocity and caring for one another. And so, Christy, can you give us, and this question is from Ami, I think, Parek. And the question is, how are mentors in the Peer Connect program matched with 9th grade students?
Yeah, so we work closely with the admissions department actually to think about, who are these students? What are they interested in? What types of schools do they go to? Where do they live, right? Sometimes just being matched up with someone who lives in the East Bay is really helpful because you can talk about your taking BART woes and, and what that is like. But no, we're very, very intentional in that matching process. And we also tell our mentors, your job is to find out what you have in common with your mentee because you have something in common. I think about one of the most recent matches we made with a 9th and a 12th grader, where the 12th grader is an amazing drummer. And like he is, yeah, just pretty great. And his 9th grader that he was matched with wants to learn how to drum. So I told my mentor, Roman, I'm like, you have to learn, you have to figure out what it is that you have in common, but you have something in common. And I hope that they figure it out. And if they don't, I'll make sure that they do. But yeah, no, we spend a good couple weeks matching students to make sure that it's a good fit. And we also let our 9th graders know, hey, if it doesn't feel right, let us know, because we have a lot of mentors on our wait list waiting for someone.
Awesome. One last question, if you wouldn't mind. What does student council do? This is from Kayla Ling.
Yeah, I saw that. Wow. Well, student council does so many great things. So we have our executive council, and then we also have class reps. So there are a little over 25 students that are on student government. One thing that student council has wanted to, I wouldn't say move away from, but they don't want it to be their only identity, is just the group that throws fun events. So yes, they do TGIF celebrations, they put on dances, they do fun activities for Halloween and whatnot, but they're also really involved in initiatives and getting policies passed into the school. They meet regularly with our head of school. Our co-presidents also attend academic admin meetings. And so a lot of the changes that you're seeing in the school, from working on a hate speech policy to creating an initiative around attendance when it comes to social justice programs, like the climate change strike that just took place yesterday. Students were able to attend that and fill out a form that would allow them, it would be a cut, but they would not get a grade reduction for missing that class, for going towards something that they care about. So yeah, I could go on and on about all the different initiatives that the students are involved with, but that's what they care most about. And we do have 2 student inclusion chairs that sit on our executive board, and they work very closely with our director of student inclusion to constantly be thinking about, like, where are their gaps? Where are there students or members in our community that are not feeling connected? And it's so beautiful to have their voices in the table or on the table.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your energy and sharing all of the wonderful things that happens at the center of the universe at Lick-Wilmerding High School. Yes, and so I know that there were a ton of questions about programming and different types of clubs. A lot of that information can be found on the website. So please highly encourage you to kind of peruse that a little bit, and you can get a flavor of the different things that we offer. You can also reach out to the admissions office to get that information as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I welcome any emails or calls. So please don't be shy. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. All right. And so now we'll transition to talking a little bit about the application process. And so I'll share my screen here. Great. And so here are a couple of process highlights this year. So this year we're adopting a test-free policy. So we will not accept the SSAT or the ISEE. We felt that in the past, this was especially, and this became most highlighted last year, this was a hindrance to us in fulfilling our school's mission of serving students and families from all walks of life. And so we've decided as a school, as a community, as an admissions office to, even if students take an SSAT or an ISEE, we will not accept it. We'll say thanks, but no thanks, and send it right back to you. Our admissions process is going to be hybrid. And so you'll see on Ravenna, the vast majority of our events thus far are virtual, and we are working our way toward having an interview day experience on campus in person. I know that a lot of schools are doing a lot of different things, but we have really committed ourselves and our resources to ensuring that our students are safe and that they're healthy and that they feel really comfortable coming to campus every day. We've decided to devote our time and our energy to making sure that our teachers felt really safe and comfortable and healthy coming to school every day. And so that's been our priority in making sure that our family, our community was able to be safe and happy and healthy. And there was a whole class, our freshman year parents, they haven't been able to come to campus. And so this is our first week of us welcoming parents on campus. And so we've, again, been trying to prioritize the folks that are already here and kind of biding our time to make sure that we're able to accept visitors in a safe fashion. And so with that said, we will have an interview day experience. And so everyone who applies to Lick will have an interview, and they'll have an opportunity to come to campus where they'll do their interview, and then they'll meet some students, walk around campus and really get to interact with the space. More information about that will be sent out probably mid-October. So just kind of be on the lookout for that once we finalize our details for that event. And then finally, I would like to share that we have a holistic review process. And so one of the questions that we get most often is, what do you look for in a Lick student? And I like to say everything and nothing at the same time. Earlier we talked about, Mr. Temple talked about the vast diversity of our students. And as we transition into our student panel, I hope that you're able to see the different perspectives that they bring to the table. I hope you get to see how different they are and how beautiful they are. And as we are looking at applications, those are the things that we're looking for. We're looking for your child to be authentically themselves, whoever that is. And so we would love for their essays to be written in their voice. And parents, you have an opportunity to share your perspective on your child, and that should be in your voice as well, right? I think that we are in a space where we are looking for and asking, what are the particular strengths of this child? And in what ways do we need to help and support this child so that they thrive? Because again, our students are coming from a wide array of different backgrounds, coming from all across the San Francisco Bay Area. And so we want to make sure that not only do our students get really great grades and they're successful, but they also feel really successful, because sometimes those two things may not line up with one another. And so that is really important for us to understand, yes, the things that they are really great at, the things that they love to do, but also the things that challenge them, because we are an educational institution and our job is to make sure that our students overcome the challenges that they have. So applying to Lick, you've done a couple of these. So congratulations, you should pat yourselves on the back. So submit an inquiry form, that's the first thing that you have to do. And then I really encourage you to learn more about LWHS through our various virtual events and some other ones that are coming through the pipeline. Submitting part 1 and part 2 of the application. That's a lot of paperwork, a couple of essays for our students. And then I mentioned the interview day experience, and more information will be sent out about that in the middle of next month. Recommendation letters and transcripts, those come from your school. And so I think that a lot of times folks may get a little anxious about when those might come in. Don't worry about it. I think that schools work at their own pace, and we're really accustomed to handling recommendation letters and transcripts. And so I think just going with an initial ask of your teachers and your schools should be fine. And then if there's something awry, we will let you know, but no need to check in every day to see if your recommendation letters or transcripts are in. And then finally, I would say apply for flexible tuition. If this is something, if the cost of tuition is something that may be a barrier for your family to come to Lick, I would really encourage you to apply for flexible tuition. We've set aside $6.6 million to support families financially to come to the school. And so we have done a really amazing job in order to make sure that families have the things that they need in order to feel successful, to feel like they belong, and to have access to our high school. Going a little bit into learning about our school, here are the different events. And so open houses, I saw in the chat that there were some questions about curriculum and some questions about different perhaps elective options and things like that. I would encourage you to attend some of our other open houses where our teachers are going to dive into their discipline a bit more and share their perspective and share a little bit more about that at that time. You can also browse our website as well, and a lot of information is there. Our admission office hours, those have been super fun. It's an informal way for you to get to know us, to ask us questions. Some of our student ambassadors will be there as well. And so this is designed a little bit more for parents, but if students are able to come and not miss class, then they are more than welcome to attend. To that note, I think that I would really encourage folks to utilize or connect with the Tiger Ambassador program, and information on that can be found on our website, so that you can have a one-on-one experience with a member of our community, whether that's a parent or a student. They're really eager to speak to you all and get to know you. And so I would encourage you to utilize that program. And then we have our student-led virtual tour. Those happen, I believe, mostly on Thursday nights. And this is designed for students. And this is an event that our Tiger ambassadors and our admissions interns have designed specifically for them. So parents, if you come on, we will kick you off before that event starts. We love you, but it's not for you. So again, that's a student-led event. And then finally, the interview day experience. This is a chance for us to get to know you. And so you'll get to meet one of our teachers or one of the members of our admissions team, and we'll ask you a handful of questions, and then you'll get a chance to ask us some questions, as well as take a look around campus and explore a little bit. And so before we go into our student panel, what are some questions that you may have for me? Let's see. So there's a question that says, what are 2 to 3 valuable skills for a 9th grade student to adjust and transition smoothly? This is coming from Morgan T. Thanks for your question. I love this question a lot. I think that the things that I really preoccupy myself with in the success of our 9th grade students is, do they feel comfortable enough asking for help? I think that our teaching community is really tight knit. Our teachers are there to support our students and help them shine. And so I think students have to build the confidence to ask for help, to say, I don't understand, to meet with their teachers after school or during office hours, during lunch, and setting up those appointments and building those relationships with our teachers. Yes, our teachers do a really great job of reaching out to students, but it has to also be kind of reciprocated. The other skill I would say is being able to recognize when you do need help. I think that sometimes I personally get a little over my head and I'm like, oh, I need help, and it's kind of far down the line of a project or something like that. And so I think, and that's a pretty advanced skill, I would say. And so being able to recognize, hey, I don't quite get this. This is an opportunity for me to ask for help, right? And being able to balance challenging oneself, right? Because we don't want our students to ask for help too quickly, but we don't want it to get to a point where they feel like they're overwhelmed by how challenging something is. And so it's a fine balance that students have to kind of find. But I think that as our students go through their 9th grade year, get to learn more about themselves as a learner, and transition to 10th and 11th grade, they really get to fine tune that skill, and they do really well. Let's see here. There's a question about, will students have the opportunity to attend online or in-person classes? No, they will not this year. And again, that is, in terms of in-person, it has to do with the health and safety of our school, and the capacity of our classrooms. And so our classrooms can't hold more than 15 or 16 people. And that is for the protocols that we have in place on campus. And so with 15 or 16 students in all of our classes, plus a teacher, we are at capacity in our classrooms. And then in terms of online, I think that getting feedback from teachers, that isn't a good experience. And kind of experiencing that in previous admission processes, folks weren't very appreciative of that. I think that it's really taxing on our teachers to try to handle that type of hybrid learning. And so unfortunately, not this year. I think that, again, I would encourage folks to come to different events, speak to our teachers, get to know our community, speak one-on-one with some of our students to kind of get a little bit of a flavor of what it might be like in the classroom, would be helpful. And then in the interview day, you'll get to meet some teachers, get to meet some students and walk around campus there. Let's see. Chris Koo, you have a good question. I'm gonna ask our students that question when they get on. Let's see. So there's a question from Max asking about music and sports. So for our music programs, we have an open house dedicated to the arts. And we will have, we're working on another event that kind of specifically highlights, again, maybe our music programs or our performing arts programs. We get to meet some of our cast members. And then for sports, we are in the works of creating an athletics kind of showcase. And so again, be on the lookout for that. We are coordinating schedules with our coaches and different instructors to make that work for folks. There's a question from Cynthia Schroeder and some other folks about support for students with learning differences. And so we have our Learning Support Center that is where we have two great learning specialists, Winifred Montgomery and Owen Dempsey. And so they are two full-time folks that work with all of our students who have learning differences and works with our teachers to make sure that they have all the combinations that they may need in order to thrive. And so before our 9th grade students start their time, they'll meet with Owen or Winifred to go through their learning plan, right? To go through the things that they need in the classroom to make sure that we are all kind of on the same page. As students transition to their 10th grade year, we meet with them again. Let me amend something. So in the 9th grade, the student also meets with all of their teachers in the same room. In the 10th grade, they kind of check back in with either Owen or Winifred, and they go through the plan again and make some adjustments, make some changes, kind of based on perhaps what the previous year was like. And then 11th and 12th grade year, again, more kind of modifications and adjustments as needed. But hopefully we are getting to a point where students feel enough autonomy to build out their kind of plan and accommodations on their own. And so, yes, they will still be there for support and to check and make sure that that they are asking for the right things. But really trying to build that self-confidence and build that autonomy as students continue to go through their years at Lick. Let's see here. So there's a question from Elizabeth. Does every applicant do an interview? Yes, that is part of our admissions process. Every student will do an interview, and piggybacking off Mia Nunez's question, do family members also participate? We will have something for parents during that day. We're still kind of figuring out that piece. And so we appreciate your patience with that, but I'm imagining that you'll have an opportunity to speak to some other parents. I'll be there as well to answer questions that folks may have too. So again, we'll send out more information about that as soon as we're able. And once we have, once we really figure out how to make sure that folks are safe and that our teachers feel comfortable coming to campus and doing interviews. I believe another question was, are interviews one-on-one or group? They'll be in groups. And so it'll probably be in pairs. And so your student will be paired with another applicant and be interviewed by one of our teachers or folks from admissions. All right. Last question, what's the mix of Peninsula, East Bay, San Francisco students? That's a great question, Max, appreciate it. So currently our student body is about 2/3 or 66% coming from the city. And then another, and then I think, let's see, about 15% or so, 17% coming from the East Bay, and then another 15% or so coming from the Peninsula. And then what's left over is usually coming from kind of Marin County. So that's really kind of the breakdown for our school community. All right, enough admissions questions. I think that we have many of our students here for the panel, and so you can continue to kind of throw questions in there for them, but I'll give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. And so if y'all could turn your cameras on, I would really appreciate it. So folks can see your smiling faces. And if you could say your name, share with us your pronouns, what middle school you came from, and add either your favorite thing about Lick or your favorite class or your favorite teacher. That would be amazing. So I am going to first throw it to Sujeen to start us off.
Hey everyone, I'm Sujeen. I use she, they pronouns and I went to St. Cecilia School. One of my favorite classes right now is architecture. I've been taking architecture since pretty much freshman year, which is taught by Garanka Boljak-Hoy. And it's my favorite class just because you get to basically build or not build, but design anything you want. And currently we're working on a house for a painter and it's basically like designing your dream mansion. So I really enjoy that class.
Hi, everybody. My name is Javen Morthell. I'm a senior at Lick-Wilmerding High School. I use he, him pronouns. One of my favorite teachers is Mr. Villacania. He's the history teacher for sophomore year. And I'm very bad at history, I'm not gonna lie, but he somehow made me enjoy that class very much with his down-to-earth attitude and, always complimenting, always keeping a good pep in his step and always making jokes throughout class. So I can always appreciate him and look back when I see these kinds of questions.
Hi, my name is Carter. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a sophomore right now, and I went to Berks for middle school. And my favorite class at the moment is called Digital Fabrication. It's a tech arts class, and I was super nervous to take it before because it uses a lot of computer programs that I was unfamiliar with, and so I didn't know what I would be doing, and it's definitely a challenge, but I'm learning a lot, and my teacher has been super supportive, and it's just a really fun environment in the class.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin. I use he, him pronouns, and I am a senior here at Lick. And I attended Benjamin Franklin Public School in Daly City. I'd say my favorite thing about LWHS would have to be the school community and probably all the opportunities you get here to meet new people, whether it's from sports to clubs. And always just being on campus is always a friendly smile on everyone else's face. And it's just always welcoming to be at school.
Hi, I'm Sophie. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore and I went to AP Middle School. Sorry, that was a little off. But my favorite class is probably A2A, which was super surprising to me. Sorry, that's Algebra Accelerated, which is a math class. And I'm not the biggest math person. I don't really like math normally, but the classroom community is just really great. And everyone really wants their classmates to succeed, which I really like. And you really get to see all these patterns. So yeah, that was super surprising, but I actually really love it.
Hi everybody, my name is Ramon. I have he, him pronouns, and I'm a senior at Lick. I went to Redwood Day School, which is a middle school in the Fruitvale neighborhood in Oakland. And my favorite class I'm currently taking at Lick is probably Advanced Combo. It's the music class. We're all one big band. And I've been involved with music all my years at Lick, and we just had a change in music staff. We have a new music director, and I was really nervous about there being a shift in the way that the class was focused. But I love the way that he's been incorporating more theory into it. He's been talking about gig experience. We're doing a lot more community service, and it's a great way to be able to play music and have fun with my peers, but also feel like I'm giving back to my community.
Hi, my name is Kriya. I'm a junior and I use she, her pronouns. And I went to the Hamlin Middle School. My favorite class at Lick right now is molecular genetics, just because I feel like we get to do so many hands-on labs, which is super exciting and a huge shift from being online, which we didn't get to do that as much. And I really enjoyed being in a class that's mixed with juniors and seniors and getting to know a lot of other people, and also being able to try a subject that I never would have done otherwise, because it's really a specific type of science, and I'm really excited for the rest of the year.
Awesome, thanks for that introduction. There was a question that I think a lot of students are really interested in. And that is, what's the social life like? What is do you know everybody in the school? Do you have friends across different grades? How do y'all kick it? Where do you kick it? What do you do for fun?
I guess one aspect of that is at least prior to this year, there was access to like Ocean Avenue. We'd be able to go off campus during school. And that was a place where a lot of students would spend their time. There's a really nice plaza a couple blocks down. And I would go out for lunch with a lot of my friends. So that, and I would oftentimes like see people waiting in line and talk to them while I was waiting for food. Or like you'd end up seeing them walk to somewhere else and you'd be like, oh, where are you going? And they'd be telling you about a new place that you hadn't heard of yet. I remember there was like one place that had like that had like these red bean pork buns that I'd never heard of. And I ended up walking like the extra couple blocks down with some people that I hadn't talked to before to go try them, and they were really good. So yeah, I guess that's one aspect of the social life. People are really eager to kind of like share things you don't know about and put you on stuff.
Yeah, to also go to the aspect of like being friends with people like in between grades and like if everyone knows everyone, I would say like since the school is just really small, like like a large amount of everyone who goes. I mean, I wouldn't say every single person who goes, especially because with our newer schedule, there's like a split between upperclassmen and underclassmen. But like due to like clubs and sports and everything, like you still see everyone and you get to know a lot of people. Yeah, also like your classes are pretty evenly split. So you end up like having like at least one class with like everyone at some point in your grade and all of that.
Yeah, and for me, I started my first year at Lick online, so I was really nervous about making friends and learning about the social life of the school, but I found that I was never actually alone. And as soon as I figured out how to reach out to people and start conversations by myself, then I was able to get to know as many people as I wanted to. So other people will reach out to you, and if you learn how to reach out to others, you will definitely meet new people and learn from them, and you'll always have someone there for you, and that's been really nice.
Awesome. Sophie and Kevin, I think that there's a good amount of folks on today who are currently from public schools, or they're currently in public school. And so can you just talk about what that transition was like? If you can kind of put yourself back in your 8th to 9th grade shoes, right? Like, what was that transition like? And what was homework like? What was the difference between homework too when you transitioned to Lick?
I can kind of start. So for me personally, I feel like it was like a pretty big shift from middle school to high school because coming in, I also didn't really know any other students because I actually was the only student from my middle school who attended Lick-Wilmerding. And yeah, there was like a pretty big change with like social dynamic and also homework, as you mentioned, because I feel like the workload at Lick is was definitely a tad bit more than my middle school, where there's like I'm spending more time studying and like figuring different ways to like time manage between like sports, other co-curriculars, as well as doing homework every night. And I don't know, it just was like not really much of a sudden shift, but it was definitely something to like adjust to. And with all like the support at Lick with from other students and also like different teachers and other like mentors to talk to, they definitely like helped me ease into like the new like environment I was coming into.
Yeah, I was like pretty scared, I think, at the beginning because I was like, I feel like everyone already knows everyone and like this is very different. But everyone at Lick, I feel like, is quite welcoming and like wants to be friends with you and wants to meet you, which is nice. And then all your teachers are really available for help if you need it. Most of my teachers have like certain days that they have workshops or tutorials. So there's always support if you need it. So it is a bit of an adjustment, but I think there's a lot of ways that you can get help if you need it, and you really get eased into it if you need it, which is nice.
Some other folks want to add to that? Cool. I think one of the things that makes our school and community really distinctive are our teachers. And I think you mentioned, some of your favorite teachers. And so are a few folks able to talk about what that student teacher relationship has been like for you, and in what ways has that relationship or those relationships created a positive experience for you?
I mean, for me personally, I came from a parochial school, so it was very like your teacher student like relationship was very different compared to Lick. I feel like at Lick it's a lot more casual and like more personal. Specifically, like I feel like just like in faculty in general, just not only with your teachers, I feel like very comfortable reaching out like if I actually need help, which I feel like with Lick's workload and stuff, like at sometimes it gets really stressful, and like I feel like your teachers are really good if you just shoot them an email if you're like overloaded and you're just like, hey, like I kind of need help with this. They're always like super down to help, and I feel like that relationship of like being comfortable enough to like ask for help, or just like sometimes I just have tea with Garanka, or like I don't know, I've run into Miss Allen at like Trader Joe's like 4 times already this year. It's just like being able to have those conversations and like seeing each other and be fine with it is something that like is super helpful at Lick.
Yeah, another thing I think is that we have our advisors, which you get freshman year, and you have the same advisor for 4 years at Lick. And I find that you can have a really good bond with your advisor since you get to spend like a good amount of time together with them. And for example, my advisor is Miss Torres, who's a math teacher, and she always has some like story about what she did over the weekend, and it's really easy to approach her and talk to her. And I remember my freshman year, like it was like the first week of school, and I was really nervous about taking new classes and being in a new environment, but she was really easy to talk to. And it was really helpful for me to talk to her and like get advice about what classes I might want to drop or add. And even on like the first week of school when I barely knew her, she was already a great resource. And so just kind of fostering those relationships is always really good, and they're all super approachable to talk to.
One thing that was really different for me coming from middle school, I guess with like my teacher student relationships, was that like during breaks, it felt kind of like teachers would just sort of disappear. Like they'd all go into the teachers lounge and then they'd just be gone, like whenever students were outside, and you'd never like see them unless you were in a class. But whenever like we're having lunch or we have breaks, teachers are just kind of out about wandering around campus, sitting in their favorite spots, or like even like eating in pretty close proximity to students. And teachers make their make like the spaces that they work in and like their offices and their class schedules really well known. So it's very easy to access them, like just talk this, whether you want to talk to them briefly in the hallway, just about anything, or if you actually want to talk to them about something that's related to academics. So they kind of like really make themselves available to us. They really feel like a part of the community, and not just they're here to only teach us, like they're here to kind of be almost like our peers and our friends and to learn with us.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. You know, the folks that are on here today, students, they got to hear from Mr. Temple and Miss Godinez-Jackson about the center. But one question that kind of came up as we were sharing the mission of our school was, how has the school helped you all to have open, honest, and authentic conversations, especially within the last couple of years? There's been a racial reckoning, right, happening in the country. There has been a ton of Asian hate and violence happening around the country, right? Right now, right, like there's a refugee crisis happening in Texas, right? And so how has the school kind of helped you all, or rather, or perhaps even facilitated conversations around the things that may be happening in our communities or around the country or world?
Yeah, hopefully I can speak on that a little bit. Something I could really appreciate about the Lick environment, and especially the staff, is like they're very unapologetically human. And so in that, during classes and stuff like that, I've had so many teachers who have just been like, yo, hold on a second, let's pause class for a minute. Like, let's just bring attention to this and this and this. I remember last year we were on Zoom, and my teacher at the time in English was Miss Selvin, and she basically put aside the entire class just for us to spend our class time talking about like the anti-Asian hate and violence that was happening. And it was just really powerful to me because I know that a lot of teachers, a lot of staff, and a lot of other places wouldn't do that kind of thing, and they don't have that same willpower to sacrifice their lesson or sacrifice their agenda in order to bring attention to something that's important or bigger than themselves. And so that's something that I could really appreciate. And I feel like in doing that, it allows students to feel much safer in expressing themselves and expressing their needs. And like my current English teacher right now, KRB, she's also very like open. She keeps on asking us like, are you guys okay? Like, that was heavy. Let's take a break real quick. And so that kind of thing lets me know that my teachers and staff are cognizant of like everything that's going on in the world and how that may be affecting us, and they react accordingly. So that's something I could really appreciate about them and about the Lick environment.
I also remember just recently in my history class, we talked about an analogy about facing issues in history that are uncomfortable to talk about and now in current events. And so we talked about, instead of shying away or running away from them, like maybe you'd run away from a monster or something, you face it head on and you tackle it. And so I feel like especially in individual classes, we don't shy away from talking about issues like that, and we face them and we talk about them as a class.
I guess another thing is that like the subject of our classes is often related to current events. Like sometimes it feels like whenever we're learning things that it can be in a vacuum and that we're only focusing on math or only focusing on science, and it doesn't actually like relate to anything outside of you learn this information and you put it on the test. But like I'm taking this class called Calc PPP, which is for our public purpose program, and we're like designing like art using mathematical functions in order to sell the art and fundraise for different organizations. And I feel like all of my classes that I've taken at Lick have been like that it's always kind of looking at the bigger picture and how like even something that I would never associate with like, I guess, kind of justice or like trying to help my own community, like math is kind of like looking at the bigger picture and trying to be something more than just like numbers on a piece of paper.
Thanks for sharing that. Mr. Temple earlier said that at Lick, we educate for impact. And I think that a lot of you are kind of touching on that. And so would maybe a couple of you be willing to share, to Ramon's point, like some of the classes that you are taking or some of the classes that are available for you to take? I know that there's some really interesting history and English classes that you may have been able to take, or maybe you're currently taking. And so I think it'd be great for you to share some of those.
Okay, so sorry. So like with the class that Javen mentioned earlier, Afrofuturism, me, Ramon, and Javen are all in the same class. I feel like that class is just like very interesting. Like any of the senior seminars, which are basically just like when you become a senior, your English and history classes are like semester longs and you get to basically pick which class you want. I feel like with this class in like particular, we've like covered a lot of things that aren't just like purely Afrofuturistic. We've like covered a lot of things in history where there's like parallels and how you can like bring things that aren't really talked about in history and like bring into a type of like book that someone might read and just be like, oh, this is like a purely fictional book. And then you kind of make those connections, be like, this is what we're living. And I feel like that's something that's very good, like in our English classes, is like being able to take these books that you wouldn't necessarily associate with real life and then looking at the bigger picture and seeing how like this is something that we're living or this is something that we have lived, and like kind of reflect on that and see how we can kind of continue to learn from those experiences, even though it's like the characters are fictional, it's like a real life thing. Similarly, like our history classes, it's not like a traditional history class where you just like memorize dates and like random people's names. It's not like a one-sided like winner's side like kind of point of view. We kind of get everyone's point of views, and we have like really good discussions and talk about not only what happened but like the effects of it, and then in the future how can we prevent this from happening, or how can we help people who have experienced this. And I feel like that's very important, especially in like history classes, as I mean, I'm sure you guys know, like history can be a sensitive topic, and we're kind of trying to destigmatize like sensitive topics and being able to discuss them in a very like well-mannered way, which I feel like is very important.
Yeah, something else that I can kind of connect to is in my junior history class this year, we have a portion of it that's dedicated to current events. And so we spend like every week, there's on Fridays or on Thursdays, depending on what day the class falls on, we'll spend like at least like 20 minutes dedicated to learning about a current event that a group of students presented, and they made a whole presentation and a bulletin board about it that the whole community is able to see. So for example, this week it was about the Texas abortion law, which was a really interesting topic to discuss with my classmates. And they come up with discussion questions that really pushed you to think in different ways and connect to other parts of history that we're learning about and other current events as well. So it's really interesting to learn about that and to have that time set aside in class every week to have a new current event come up and be part of that discussion.
Great. I have two more questions. The first one is, what's something you would change about the Lick experience? What's something that can be better or improved?
I can try to say something, you feel me? I think that's a tough question. I'm gonna answer this one the same way I did last year, which is that I feel like when you're looking for things to improve, you're gonna consistently be looking for more things to improve or more things to change. Because at the end of the day, y'all, Lick is a great school, but it's not perfect, and neither is any institution that you're going to attend. And so, I mean, I could say, oh man, I wish there was off-campus lunch again, but come on, we're in the midst of a global pandemic. Like, you know, you can ask for so much, but it's all within the realms of reality and possibility. And so I feel like Lick, at the end of the day, is the best school for me. And I feel like it provides me with the resources that I need, despite the fact that there may be things I would like to change or like to improve, quote unquote, which is a very subjective idea. I think that the resources that it does currently provide me and the things that it does currently have available to me at all times are things that I try to be appreciative of. And I don't really spend much time thinking about what could be better, because I feel like, you know, Lick is already a better option than a lot of other places I could have been in. And I feel like it's a blessing to be here in the first place. So I just kind of try to walk in that, you know?
If I can actually add on to that, and I could see that like we all kind of hesitated, because I feel like that's a very big and broad question. Like, where do you start and to what degree, at what level are we talking about when we say like, what do we want to change? But rather than talk about like what I would want to change personally, I think I'd rather like to highlight Lick giving us the opportunity to actually make those changes through things like student council and affinity leaders and stuff like that. Like over even like the past year, there's been like so much kind of like improvement to like the overall like, I guess, kind of like student involvement programs through like tutoring and being admissions interns, getting to do stuff like being a Tiger ambassador, which is what we're all doing right now. We've been given more funding and more time and space to work as affinity leaders to make our like affinity clubs like Black Student Union, Latinos Unidos, Asia Club, and even more like, I guess, kind of like more prominent within the school. We've been given the flexibility to go and participate in like protests, like the climate protests that happened the other day, due to the efforts of students who wanted the chance to, like, I guess, kind of participate in history and fight for things they care about without having to worry about taking a reduction to their grade, or like not getting a set quality of education. Our student council has really pressed for I guess kind of more consciousness to the mental health of students, and as well as like I guess consciousness around like all the I guess kind of like this surge in consciousness in relation to racial justice. So it's like all those positions are made available and are promoted to students to participate in. And that gives us the opportunity to, when we want to see a specific kind of change, to actually enact it rather than just wish for things. Because anybody can talk about what they wish for, but being able to actually like get out there and make it happen is something that not a lot of places offer.
Yeah, like in terms of the mental health thing, I think that that's something that I feel like as a school we're kind of working on. I think in my history class, my teacher has been trying to give us a few days to just do something that is like de-stressing for us, because he knows that especially with the pandemic going on, it's like overall just like kind of a stressful environment just in the world we're living in currently. And I think all my teachers have been having conversations with us and trying to adjust things so that it's a little better for all of us.
Yeah, and just one thing to add, we've been talking about like how much of a privilege it is to go to a school like this. And like, we know we all hesitated about thinking of something we wanted to improve, and that says a lot, I think. I think we just all need to work on, and we're learning how to work on acknowledging the privilege that it is to go here.
Thanks for your responses. I think they were all beautifully put, and I think as Carter mentioned, I think it speaks volumes to the work that all the members of our community are doing to constantly improve it and constantly do better, right? Because that's what learning is. That's what a school community is supposed to do. Last question for you all, and then you can go off and enjoy your Saturdays. If you could describe Lick in no more than 3 words, what 3 words would you use to describe your school? You can take a minute to think about it, and then we can just popcorn around till we're done.
I guess I would say open, collaborative, and like engaged. I feel like that sort of encompasses the things that we value.
Mine's kind of cliche, but just like home. It's very comfortable. I feel like I definitely have taken naps there too. It's just home.
I guess I'd just say the phrase like love of learning, because I feel like when I first came to Lick for my first visit as an 8th grader, the thing that drew me in was how every student really wanted to be there. And that's something that still stands out to me.
Yeah, I think I would say probably innovative is a big one, and community or community building.
I'd probably say welcoming, safe, and kind of like home, kind of like what Sujin mentioned as well.
I'm gonna say something a little bit out of pocket. I remember like the first thing that came to my mind when we thought 3 words was like sporty nerd school. Because I swear, like one of the things that I love about like the most is like everybody's like so just like head down academic here, like just totally getting into like all like the nerdy stuff. Like people are doing like tech, flying drones, going to honors math classes. And it's all those same people out there who are kicking like other schools' butts on like the field hockey field or doing track and field. And it's just, I just find that hilarious because I feel like that's something very unique to our school. Like, well, we're super smart, but like we still kick butt whenever we get out there.
Yeah, that's what's up. I'm gonna say human, growing, and changing, because I believe that Lick, I don't know, Lick is the first school and institution in general that I've attended in which I don't really feel very much hierarchy. And not to say that I, don't respect my teachers. I still call them Mr. and Mrs. Don't get me wrong. Don't play me out like that. But like, I'm just saying, like, I feel like my teachers are learning from me as much as I'm learning from them. And I can always appreciate people who are receptive like that and receptive to change and receptive to growth just as much as I am, despite the age gap. So, yeah.
Speaking of learning, I learned a ton from you all today. I appreciate you all for being here. Everyone that's still on, feel free to go. Enjoy your Saturday. Thanks for being with us today. And I look forward to learning more about your family in the coming months. See you later.